Can you hear me now? So sorry. Better? Can you hear me? Hear me? Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Can you hear me now? Please let me know. Test 1 2, test. Should be able to hear me now. Okay, sorry about that, guys. A little bit of technical difficulties. Great, thanks. Okay, Maricopa County. This is from NPR News. This is from NPR News, and Maricopa County says 20% of polling places have equipment issues. 20%, but votes are fine. That's what they're couching this. Okay, votes are fine. Sorry about that glitch at the beginning, guys. Please like, subscribe, share this video. I'm reporting this as it happened. It just came out at 3:30 p.m. Eastern from NewsGuard certified NPR News. Chairman Gates, chairman of the Maricopa Board of Supervisors, speaks out about machine malfunctions at the Maricopa County Tabulation and Election Center on Tuesday in Phoenix, Arizona. About 1 in 5 polling locations in Maricopa County, Arizona, will experience a technical problem with their ballot tabulator machines in the first hours of Election Day. Now, this is going into lots of reports coming from all over the country about the same kinds of issues happening where you're having machine ballots down, ballot counters down. Where there are videos coming out that have been shared by the Post Millennial and other news sources where there are actual interviews with people tabulating the votes, saying that if you and I'll just show you that before I make that claim. YouTube, I just want to tell you this. This is from NPR News, NewsGuard certified source. Okay, and any video I show on this will be from actual vote workers at the polling places. So I just want to couch that before YouTube decides to try to knock down my channel because of this. Okay. Now, everybody, moving forward, but officials say the votes will still be counted thanks to their redundancy protocols. Okay. So what I believe has happened here is that the issues across the country with these voting machines have been so ubiquitous and been spread all over Twitter, all over the news today. They're couching it, but they're also putting up the redundancy measures, saying that the vote's going to be fine, and it could be, but there are obvious issues. And I don't know about you guys, but I've never wanted or longed for more a dimpled Chad in one county, because this seems to be happening not just in Maricopa County in Arizona, but in other places as well. And we'll go into that. Moving forward with the story, we've got about 20% of locations. This is a quote from Chairman Gates. We've got about 20% of locations out there where there's an issue with the tabulator. Board of Supervisors Chairman Bill Gates said in a video update posted online describing the problem. He said that after some voters fill out the ballots, the machine won't accept it. The issue was quickly used by right-leaning, and they're giving their perspective here, and then I will give mine. And again, YouTube, I'm not making any claims other than here's their perspective and here's a counter perspective. But the issue was quickly used by right-leaning influencers as fuel for their claims that the 2022 midterms are vulnerable to election fraud. And this is from quoting NPR, according to the Election Integrity Partnership, a research coalition that focuses on misinformation around elections. And then they throw up Charlie Kirk. Attention spiked after a tweet from Charlie Kirk, and this is what I just said, right? Which fueled others to allege that the machine's failures are deliberate. I don't believe that Charlie Kirk said they were deliberate. And we can check on that in just a moment. I don't believe that Charlie Kirk said that the issues with the machines were deliberate. So I believe that's a mischaracterization by NPR. but we'll check it out just to make sure. We will check the source. There's a high likelihood that these narratives around the machine malfunctions will gain traction in other states. This sounds a bit like a preemptive narrative because what is happening here is that before the issue in Maricopa, there were other issues being reported on in other states. The Election Integrity Partnership said, adding that influencers and their audiences are looking to amplify such stories. This is part of the reason why I'm using NPR, NewsGuard certified source, okay? And what we do know for a fact is that there are machines in Maricopa County and in other places, according to other poll workers, where they're having a problem. Moving forward, election officials are working on a solution, Gates said. In the meantime, voters can slide their ballot into a secure box just below the tabulator, he said. Now, this is what Charlie Kirk was talking. The video I saw him and I retweeted today was the woman saying this exact thing. And I don't believe that Charlie Kirk made the claim that this was deliberate. What he was highlighting was the fact that it was happening. And he did this hours before NPR. And NPR is essentially just said the exact same thing right here. And so this is a tweet from the Maricopa Election County's department. Here's the message from them. And then those ballots will be collected and sent. Then moving on with the NPR story. Those ballots will be collected and sent to Maricopa's central tabulators, county recorder Stephen Richer says. This is actually what the majority of Arizona counties do on election day all the time. I'm not really sure what that means. Those ballots will be collected. It's what they do all the time. So this happens all the time, I guess. Because let me just read these two sentences again. Those ballots, meaning the ones that were miscounted or not put into the machine and counted by the machine correctly, will be collected and sent to Maricopa's central tabulators, county recorder Stephen Richer said. This is actually what the majority of Arizona counties do on election day all the time, Richer said. Okay, moving forward. While the exact nature of the problem in Maricopa County isn't known, it's not uncommon for machine malfunctions and other balloting problems to arise at election time when millions of people rush to cast their votes. If that is not uncommon, again, we changed to an electronic voting system because of one instance in one county in Florida over the Dimple Chat issue. If it is common to have these kind of malfunctions, these are the only thing these machines are meant to do, and they only do their work once every few years. So at the very least, we should be working on getting more reliable machines based upon what NPR just said. Based on what NPR just said. Don't you think? That would be my opinion, is that we should, these machines that only are doing a job once every 2 years, or maybe once or twice a year if you're using them for local elections, should be more reliable, because what NPR just said is that this happens all the time. Such snags can prompt a range of reactions from politicians and pundits, from encouraging voters to endure the delay to suggesting the problems are the sign of a coordinated conspiracy. Now, again, I do not believe that Charlie Kirk said this was a coordinated conspiracy. But what NPR just said, and I'll read it word for word, it's not uncommon, and I quote NPR, it's not uncommon for machine malfunctions and other balloting problems to arise at election time when millions of people rush to cast their votes. Again, why are we employing these machines like this, if they're reliably unreliable to that extent? That's a question. Far right wing figures from Arizona senatorial candidate Blake Masters to Republican committee member Tyler Bauer tweeted about the problem Tuesday. Former President Trump, who has spent the past 2 years sowing doubts and mistruths on the U.S. election system, also weighed in saying, and I'm quoting NPR here, ladies and gentlemen, I'm reading NPR, also weighed in saying Maricopa problems were reported in the GOP leaning states. My issue here is what NPR is doing with the conflating of these. What I have seen on Twitter, what I've seen from these people is that they're reporting the exact same issues that NPR is reporting right now. But NPR is spinning this to say that these right wing figures are talking about a coordinated conspiracy. I don't, I'm just going to keep going. So, quoting NPR News again, moving forward. Here we go again, Trump said on Truth Social platform. This is not, the people will not stand for it. So, hello, Frank. Hello, Todd. Hello, Dolly and Gabriel. Hey, James. Thanks for being here, guys. I'm trying to tread very lightly here. Okay? Trying to tread very lightly here because I'm very concerned that me just simply reading what NPR is saying is going to get this channel knocked down. But it's an interesting test case, isn't it? I believe that Donald Trump notwithstanding, the fact is this from NPR News, Maricopa County is having issues. There are other news outlets, NewsGuard certified outlets across the country that are reporting the exact same issue with the same voting machines that NPR is reporting right now. So obviously there's a spin war happening, but no one at this point, not even NPR, not YouTube, not any other source, can deny that the problems are happening. Correct? Would you agree? Because it seems to be right here in black and white. The issue has also been front and center in the governor's race. Republican Kari Lake is an election denier who is running against Katie Hobbs, the current Secretary of State. Again, that is editorializing by NPR in what is supposed to be a news story. Because they do not define what an election denier is, but it seems to me that NPR is saying that if one questions if one states that there are problems with the election machines, as NPR stated up here, and I quote, this is actually what while this is NPR again, while the exact nature of the problem in Maricopa County isn't known, it's not uncommon, quoting NPR, it's not uncommon for machine malfunctions and other balloting problems to arise at election time. But take that back to the beginning of the article, or the headline of the article, what it says, Maricopa County says 20% of polling places have equipment issues, but votes are fine. Let me ask this question. Does a 20% malfunction, or let me call it does 20% of the machines having equipment issues make it more or less likely that the end result of the counting will be what was actually cast? Does the 20% of equipment issues that Maricopa County is reporting per NPR News make it more or less likely that there will be problems with the voting results as intended by the voters? I don't know. But it seems that common sense would dictate that that level of malfunction would equal or would make it less likely to have a reliable vote. But I could be wrong because they have redundancy measures. The redundancy measures are counting by hand, which leads me to the question. When we have machines whose only purpose is to count the ballots, and we have those machines with a 20% equipment issue rate, why are we using the machines? Why not do even a dimpled Chad would be a better issue here? I mean, we had that in one county or in one state in Florida in 2000. Why are we using those machines? That's my question. I think that's a fair question. And NPR has admitted that this is the case, that there's 20% of equipment issues in that county. There are other issues happening in other parts of the state. I mean, other parts of the country. So I'm going to see what I can pull up here. I don't want to get knocked down. Now, I want to put this up. I'm going to show you this to disprove what NPR just said about Charlie Kirk. Because what NPR just said about Charlie Kirk, attention spiked after a tweet from Charlie Kirk, which fueled others to allege that the machine failures are deliberate. Okay, so I see what they did here. I took that wrong. That was a clever trick, and I didn't even catch it the first time. What NPR said here was that Charlie Kirk tweeting out the same information that NPR just tweeted out, that NPR just put out, led others to allege that these machines' failures are deliberate. They didn't name the others, except for down here, Donald Trump said, "Here we go again." And that's an NPR quote again. Matt says he voted in NPR and everything went smooth. And actually, I got a report from Missouri from a very trusted source, good friend of mine, that said he went in and there was a self-identified Democratic voter that tried to come in to the precinct in Missouri. So this is to show that elections in Missouri are secure. She came in and was arguing with the poll worker, saying she wanted a ballot, and showed her ID, and the poll worker said that she already had a what do you call it, a provisional ballot out, or a absentee ballot out. And so the poll worker wouldn't give her an in-person ballot unless she came back and brought back her and turned in her absentee ballot. And that was because of voter ID. And for the record, this was a as my friend described it, and I quote, blue-haired white liberal. That's what they said. So Missouri seems secure. But again, nobody, I believe, is coming out and saying that this is a conspiracy. What they're stating is the same thing that NPR is stating, that up to 20% in Maricopa County of the machines are having issues, when that is their only. Which makes me wonder, have anybody ever used a Scantron machine, like teachers? Scantron machines don't have that kind of incorrect tabulating rate. And I voted today. See, I voted today. And it is basically a Scantron machine. So whoever is building these machines seems to not have mastered the success rate of a technology that has existed for at least 20 to 30 years, the Scantron, right? We use those for SATs, ACTs, we use those for school tests. And I've never heard of the reporting from Scan, and the ones that I've used, I know, having that kind of fail rate. And I'm talking about testing Scantron machines for testing. So I don't know the company of the voting machines that built the voting machines in Maricopa County. But I want to point out, and this is from a poll worker in Maricopa County reporting exactly what NPR just reported. I just want to point that out. This is the confirmation that the Maricopa County story from NPR is correct, at least at this one precinct.
I know everybody wants to make sure that it reads and everything is fine.
Can you repeat that?
I can promise
Can
you.
Can you start from the beginning and repeat that?
So what happens is we have two tabulators. One of the tabulators is not working, okay? The other tabulator is taking about 75% successful. So 25% of them are being misread, and it could be a printer issue, or it could be the tabulator itself. So when it's misread, you have an option to put it into what's called box 3, and it gets read, whether it goes downtown and gets read manually, or whether it gets refed into our tabulator.
You don't want to adjudicate.
They get read.
No.
Okay. So no.
Okay, so this is the precinct person saying this in Maricopa County. He's not alleging fraud. The tweet here is not alleging fraud. Okay. Nobody is alleging fraud, other than what they're saying here is that Maricopa County is having the same issues. They're saying the same thing that NPR said in their story. There was no editorializing. There was no editorializing in what the precinct captain said. So there seems to be agreement across the board from what right-wing people on Twitter are saying and what NPR is saying. But NPR seems to be saying that the right-wing people are claiming things that they're not. Based on what I've seen and what I just showed you, all they're doing is repeating, or not even repeating, showing the words of the people on site and the people running the site. Hey, Chase K, how are you? So, what we cannot deny again is that there are at least 20% of polling places have equipment issues. What I think is interesting here is that in the video we just watched, that precinct in Maricopa County said that one of their machines wasn't working at all, and the one that was working was only reading about 75% of the ballots correctly. Then he said that the voter then has the option to, not that it automatically goes in, but then this is from the precinct captain, that they have the option to take that and put it into a basically count it by hand box. And it goes to either downtown or another place in the precinct. And it's counted by hand in the presence of a Democrat and a Republican. But no one, and I repeat this, from NewsGuard certified NPR YouTube, as you're reviewing this to try to find a way to cancel my channel, no one, including NPR, is denying the fact that Maricopa County and some other counties in the country are having these issues with the voting machines that only exist to count votes, mostly every 2 years. There needs to be an investigation by objective parties, bipartisan investigations, or the precinct controllers need to find a more reliable machine to count our votes. If they cannot do that, I would like to know what the testing process is. And maybe I'll look into that. But if they cannot find a machine that has a more reliable outcome than counting the votes by hand, or that has a more reliable outcome than counting them through a dimple or through a CHAD system like we had in 2000, then they need to find a different company. Wouldn't you agree? Wouldn't that be common sense? I think it would. And one can insist that be the standard without claiming a mass conspiracy. But, well, and I don't know if I can say that. Isn't it amazing that I have to sit here and, because all I'm doing is asking questions. All I'm doing is saying what the facts are, and then asking questions that an investigator would ask or a reporter would ask if they're doing their job. So, ladies and gentlemen, from NPR, Maricopa County says 20% polling places have equipment issues, but votes are fine. And I strongly believe that if I were to report any more than that, YouTube would try to take me down. Which is why tonight I'm going to be joining Project 46 and Red River TV for election night coverage. And links that I will give you, this will be in studio with a team. as a new news source for you to go to where you will not be censored. I'm working with them, and I think that they have a really great vision for a local news source in Oklahoma to serve the people as a counter narrative to the absolutely corrupt local media that we've experienced during this election cycle. The lies that have been told, from the Summer Boimier issue to the teacher at High, Norman High School in Oklahoma, to various other things. Now, I'm not saying that reporters don't make mistakes. I made one just the other day when I was talking about a closed captioning issue. But as soon as I figured that out, I retracted it and corrected the story. You do not see that from the local media here. Wendy Suarez at Fox News 25 was the prime example of that. She waited days to even not correct or retract, but change her story after she got caught when it came to Summer Boimier, because she first reported that she had been fired. That reporting on Twitter got 10,000 retweets from an account that has less than 7,000 followers, and set an entire narrative the night before an election. That is a fact. It was confirmed by the Frontier 2 weeks later, but it is a fact. When I get something wrong, I correct it as soon as I find out, even though that had made me take heat from people on my own team. And I did my best to make sure that Ryan Walters, who was innocent in all of that, wouldn't be saddled with that mistake. That's the difference. That is the difference between honest reporting and what the left often does, including sites like NPR many times. So that's why I'm working with Project 46. We are going to bring you results from the election this evening. And yes, and Timcast does have integrity. Yes, they will go in and correct mistakes. They are also NewsGuard certified. So, yeah, I think it's pretty neat that we're teaming up with Project 46. We got Miles Rahimi and the guys over there are really good. And Jim Fay, can you send me where that was? Jim Fay is reporting this. Guys, super chats are open too. I always do appreciate that. So join us over. I'll see if I can get that link sent out. So you can watch. We'll be teaming up with people at watch parties and stuff across the state, and really trying to bring you what's happening on the ground. From all reports that the election here is fairly close. The last poll I saw had Governor Stitt up by 2 or 3 within the margin of error. Just as Choctaw Nazarene Church in Oklahoma. So, yeah, join us tonight. We'll be doing that. And like, subscribe, and share this channel. Don't leave this channel. Please keep doing that. And we will do our best to bring you the news and bring it to you honestly. And at least with the honest of being honest about being what our leaning might be. Because that is also the difference between media like NPR is that they claim to be objective and aren't. The Daily Wire and other places like that will tell you where their bend is, and they'll differentiate between their opinion and their editorial prowess many times. But they're upfront at the beginning that they are a right-leaning organization. NPR claims to be National Public Radio. Public. Your dime. My dime. So if you haven't gotten out to vote today, get out and vote. The future of your country depends on it. If there are issues with the voting, as reported by NPR, that 20% of the polling machines are having equipment issues, it's all more important that more of you get out to vote. Wouldn't you agree? I would. So, guys, I will see you tonight, Project 46. We'll get you that link out. Be watching, and we'll see you soon. Thank you very much, and stay on woke, guys.